You have secretly been training yourself to procrastinate, and in this video, I'm going to tell you two things. One, how you're doing it, and two, how to get out of it. Let's get to it. There's a saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. And when I heard that, it just changed my life. When you struggle in one area, it creates a certain type of thinking. So if there's any area that's even remotely like it, you're basically training that same area of your brain to think the same way. When you have texts, emails, alarms, sticky notes, you scroll past them, you pass by them, you never really do anything about it, even though you keep telling yourself you want to. Well, what ends up happening is you actually training yourself to keep doing that thing. And there's an actual scientific formula that proves this. Raise your hand if you've ever seen The Office. There's a scene in The Office that's amazing. And basically, Jim is training Dwight to put his hand out for a stick of gum every time Jim pushes the restart button on the computer. So every day he comes in, he pushes the restart button on his computer and then asks Dwight, would you like a stick of gum? Then Dwight says, sure, puts his hand out and takes it. The repetition of the trigger associated with the action causes Dwight to put his hand out, have this little salivation for gum, and expect gum to just come to him. So the last day that Jim restarts his computer, Dwight just automatically puts his hand out like, and where Jim goes, what are you doing? And Dwight's like, I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like doing it. Do me a favor and comment below your favorite Office episode. So this is called Pavlov's dog. So basically, there was a physiologist named Ivan Pavlov. He had a dog and he wanted to experiment with something called classical conditioning. All you have to know about this is basically that he wanted to see if he could make the dog salivate on command by offering it a treat every time there was a sound. This is exactly what happens in The Office. The trigger of the sound of the computer restarting and offering gum. And I know it's not really made for this, but I've found that there's something very similar with negative habits where you get notified by that text or that bell, or you see a sticky note on the wall and you just pass by it. You're following the same exact formula. The only problem is you're actually training yourself to procrastinate. So for us, when we hear the sound of an email notification, that is the trigger. The action we take from that exact moment is what we are training ourselves to do. So what do? For me, I used to just check my phone and then put it away. That would train me to identify the trigger of the sound of the notification with looking at my phone and doing nothing. This is exactly how we end up with the thousands of messages just piled on our phone that we never get to, leading us to want to procrastinate even more because there's so many messages to get to. How did I solve this? Well, since these are spontaneous pop-up notifications, they can be pretty distracting. You want to be able to dictate when you can do things instead of your day being run by everyone else's needs. So for situations like these, it'd be much better to have a consistently specific time of the day every day where you just answer things like this. I mean, if we apply this process to pop-ups all the time, you'd just be training yourself to check your phone every time it dings, making the process totally work against you. So what kind of tasks do we use for this trigger sequence? The best thing we can use it for are reminders that you set for yourself, like sticky note reminders, or an alarm that you set for yourself for a specific time for something with a deadline or with urgency. Here's a sticky note example. Pass by a sticky note, which is the trigger. The action would be, I'll get to it later. And the consistent result will be the note becomes ugly wallpaper and we forget to do the task. Now the sticky example would be pass by the sticky note, which is the trigger, action, tackle it when you see it, the consistent result, the task is done. So whatever you consistently do when you see this thing after you get the trigger is what you're training yourself to do. If it's not a productive thing, you're training yourself to not be productive. If it is productive, you're training yourself to be productive. And once you're in a habit, you're on autopilot. You're not even thinking about it anymore, and it's just happening. Because you've been on autopilot after training yourself for so many years to just look at it and then look away. If you want to be trained on how to 2 to 10x your productivity literally in a few weeks and take on any task without ever burning out again, click the link in the description below where you can hop on a free strategy session with me and I will literally tell you exactly how to do it. Now, if you like this video, you're going to love this video. Later.